Mariam, Jalabi, I'm so happy to talk to you today. I know you're back from Syria. You are the co-founder of the Syrian Women's Political Movement. Take us to Syria. What is happening on the ground today with the women who are organizing for the new Syria?
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Today, women are celebrating and getting together inside Damascus. In this past week, there has been meeting for an organization, a women's organization that has been working in hiding in Damascus with the Syrian women political movement to come together and coordinate together. First time for all of these women to come together from all around Syria and people who have been in hiding in Damascus to do these kind of meetings. There is another one that a week ago took also place in Sweden, why members from the Syrian women political movement have gone to the meeting there to give their perspective on what's happening in Syria and what needs to be done. So there is a lot of effort and energy that's being put of Syrian people reconnecting, and a lot of people coming from the outside to Syria, such as myself, to connect with the people to see what's happening on the ground so that we can work together to rebuild the country.
That's so beautiful. I know there's so much excitement and hope. And I saw a picture of one of your co-founders, Hind Kabawat, who had been received by her students who had
Yes.
zoomed in for peace building classes and had brought her roses that were dyed the color of the flag of the Syrian
Yeah.
revolution
Yes.
in
Yes.
front of the citadel in Aleppo with an enormous grin. It's a huge
Yes.
moment of hope.
Yes.
So tell me, what else is the Syrian women's political movement doing right now? I heard about the historic press conference exactly 1 month after the fall of
Yes.
President al-Assad.
Yeah, we had it on January 8th. And this press conference was a press conference for all of the Syrian women's political movement to come together to launch in Damascus and say that we are here, we exist, and we chose to be in a historic building that's known for a lot of people who have worked inside Damascus, the Finduk al-Sham, the Sham Hotel, that has been known historically for having a lot of these different kind of meetings and people coming to it. And it's a little bit run down now because it hasn't been given the love that it deserved, all of these years. But it was beautiful. We were in like Al Amawiyin salon in the room where everybody had come, over 300 people, 350 people, with a lot of press, a lot of the members from all different parts of Syria, from all different backgrounds, all different components of society. And one of the attendees of this conference was a baby who's come from Raqqa, who was 2 weeks old, with her mother to attend this conference.
And tell us what we need to know about the Syrian women's political movement. I understand that this is a very substantial movement with members and co-founders who have taken up leadership roles across civil society and political institutions that have delivered very important ceasefire negotiations, detainee releases, a whole swath of other activities. Tell us what we need to know about this.
So this movement came into existence in 2017 because of the lack of women's presence everywhere within the political sphere that Syria was operating in, because we were part of the negotiations with the Assad regime in order to get back our country, in order to go on a political, democratic track, and that was not happening. So women were not being included. And I keep talking about how women were not being included in the Syrian process, not because just it's a Syrian phenomena or an Arab phenomena or a Middle Eastern phenomena, but this is a phenomena that's global, where women are actually not included in decision making. Women are not included in political processes. Like now here in the Security Council, I work with the UN and I present Syrian voices to the UN. And I see in the Security Council, when it has a lot of women in the Security Council membership, it might go to 3 or 4. So women in general in the world live in a system that is patriarchal, that is not giving the space for them to come in and do it. So we have to take our own space, and this is what the Syrian women political movement decided to do, is that we're going to create our own body, we're going to do our own work and be part of rebuilding Syria and creating a political space for women to function and to work from a feminist perspective.
Amazing. And I learned from some of your co-founders as well, Jumana Saif, who
Yes.
talked about how women were at the front of protests long before 2011 and the beginning of the revolution that was part of the Arab Spring, long before that, but most certainly since then as well, in exile and on the ground, building up, briefing the Security Council, forming an advisory group to the UN, which had never happened before, and is now the model for others like women in Yemen, et cetera. So it's not just breaking history in Syria, it's breaking global history as well, like you said.
So yes, we have now also, now that we're on this conversation, is that one of our members is actually going to be briefing the council in March during CSW. And during CSW also, because it's not just the work that's happening inside Syria, we also need to work with the international community to let them know what's happening on the ground. When people are living in poverty and in such dire situation where electricity comes only for 2 hours a day, when there is no hot water, when there is no heating, and a lack of food and resources, this has to be put forward to the international community. And this is what we're doing. We have an event that's going to happen during CSW, and also a briefer to the Security Council to come and talk from inside Damascus. Somebody who's never left Damascus is going to come and brief the council on the situation of women on the ground.
Incredible. Incredible.
Yes.
So, what is the demand of the Syrian women's political movement now of the caretaker government, which is in Syria? It has promised to create an inclusive Syria as it moves forward. However, there is a history linkage to Al Qaeda and extremist views. So, many people have expressed concern. What
Yes.
are you demanding of this government, and what do you expect to get?
So this government has been in power for the last couple of months, and so far what we have seen, it's quite impressive considering their history, especially that there is so much that's being run smoothly and very little violence that's happening on the ground. Of course, there are exceptions. There are a lot of other things, challenges that are facing people that makes it very difficult to keep functioning. But this caretaking government, what we're expecting from it is actually to go through a transition. We do need to have that national conference they're calling for. And during that national conference, all of the political bodies are going to be dissolving themselves and create a whole new transitional governing body that is going to call for a constitutional committee to come up with maybe a constitutional declaration, to go through elections and to have that transitional phase. Within all of that time, which is, politically is very valid and appropriate, is that what we need from the international community is to support the process that Syrian women are doing, that the Syrian people are doing together, regardless of who is sitting, at the presidential palace. We need sanctions lifted, because if sanctions are not lifted on the Syrian people, women are not able to function and live their daily lives in the way that they need to.
And how is the caretaker government doing in terms of creating a inclusive conversation?
So now what's very interesting, and I think that everybody needs to know, that there is this call for the national conference to take place in Syria. But the idea with it is that this is a caretaking government that doesn't have all of the legality of running a government as it should. And it's the what they're saying is that they're going to be dissolving themselves when everybody is going to be dissolving themselves when they come to this national conference. It's everybody is going to be invited there at an individual base. It's going to be about 1,200 people. And these individuals coming together, of course, it has a preparatory committee and everything is being studied and being worked on now. And the date for the conference now is being held for February 20th, but it might be delayed considering how much work that needs to be done.
And
Yes.
what is the nature of your event at the Convention on the Status of Women in March?
So we yearly do an event during the Commission on the Status of Women to report on what's happening in Syria from a women feminist perspective. And this year we're doing the same. We're doing an event during Commission on Status of Women, the CSW, and it will be about the future, an inclusive future for Syria. And what's interesting this time about this event is that we usually ask different governments, member states, to co-sponsor this event with the Syrian women political movement. This year, we have actually asked the Syrian caretaking government to sponsor this event with us, and we're waiting for a response from them, which I will let you know when we get.
Thank you so much for spending time with me. Good luck with your continued activities, and I look forward to hearing your updates from New York and from Syria.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mariam.